do stuff. So Ray Kazar, who was the CEO of Atari Design, actually called me personally. He goes, we need ET by September 1st. He goes, can you do it? Whoever they talked to, you can't do it. Everybody said, you just can't do it.
And they said, well, we've got 6 weeks to do ET. We need someone to do it.
I said, Ray, I can definitely do that. He said, if the price is right.
Yeah, if we reached the right deal, because I knew I could do a game in 6 weeks if I designed a game to be done in 6 weeks. And I did the game, and I just worked like all the time. You know, I lived in my office, or sometimes I had a system at my home. I had them put a system in my home so I could work there too. And just all the time for like 6 weeks, I worked on the game.
You know, my whole design intention with ET was to get the game done.
And then the game went out, and it was an okay game.
E.T. video game?
It's coming soon, only from Atari. The video game that lets your family help E.T. get home. But only if you have an Atari video game system at home.
E.T. for me was a great challenge. Nobody had ever done a game in less than 6 months, I believe, on the VCS. And I had to do a game in 5 weeks. I wrote fresh code, new graphics. It was all new. I even tried to make it, you know, a new kind of thing, because every game I wanted to be some kind of real contribution. So, you know, it was on a 3D world. It was on this cube that you played on. And, you know, it was a big mistake to make it so easy to fall into the pits and make it tricky getting out. You know, there were some real mistakes, obviously, that I made with E.T. But, you know, it's a full, complete game. And, but you know what? So people rate E.T. frequently as the worst game of all time.
How bad could this be? The movie was so great. Let's take a look at the game here. Cool loading screen. He has to collect that dot of something. So far, it all makes sense. Then he's dead all of a sudden. Here comes Ernie from Sesame Street. I don't know why Ernie. He throws him out in front of his house. What a waste of time. That is E.T.
Well, when I first completed the game, I was pretty satisfied that I'd actually done it and completed the work. I was just really satisfied with that, and I felt I did what I set out to do. When the reactions came back, yeah, it felt bad at first. It felt real bad at first, but you know, you can't argue with everybody. So I accept it. I know a lot of people didn't like it. But there's another factor with E.T. that's different than some other games, and that is, again, it's the movie time. E.T. is one of the most beloved movies of all time. So that's bringing an emotional tone to the expectation. So when people complain about E.T., I think they're not just complaining about the game. They're complaining that they didn't get an experience that compares to the emotional ride that they got from the movie, which is huge. Okay? And I'm not going to get there with a game. A game on the 2600 is not going to take you to the kind of emotional place that E.T. touching Elliot's finger is going to get you, you know, by the end of that movie. It's just not going to happen. You know, realistically, is E.T. the worst video game on the 2600? Probably not. There's a lot of games nobody talks about anymore that may be worse, but I like it when people make it the worst. I always support the idea that E.T. is the worst game ever done.
I really prefer it when people do identify it as the worst game of all time, because I did Yar's Revenge, which is one of the best games of all time, so now I have the greatest range of any game designer in history.